time we discuss something that I really haven't wanted to for a while, which is Lootboxes once again, because there's this guy, Sid, let's say from what's that movie again? Ice Age. That he's made a recent couple videos where he talked about his Twitter, some shit that went down there, and it kind of revealed a couple things, because you see, he's planning to be a part of this ongoing debate for loot boxes in a recent bill that's being passed for loot boxes that's trying to get it made illegal, along with other pay-to-win things for in kids games, which I assume is anything under R-rated. And to be honest, I haven't really watched the video length of the years. I'm just gonna be it, but that thing used to be a boss, like a fucking just a single level ago. Fuck me. And it's a bit disconcerting, because he's been talking about government intervention as being this great bad thing, like it's gonna ruin the game industry. And honestly, that's something that I'm not entirely at disagreement with, that it is a problem. But the thing is, when he's planning to, go in and talk about this debate, you're straight up pushing for government intervention on the games industry, which, government intervention kind of coincides with, like, literally every other form of entertainment in the entertainment industry, so it's not really something that I think is as big or severe as people make it out to be. They kind of, people mention the best and worst case scenario of things, and it's way too early in to really say this is good or this is bad outright for the games industry, because we can't make that connection, that causation isn't correlation isn't causation. I say it time and time and again, but in debates it's always something that you need to bring up. So and in this video he brings up that, because he lost his Twitter debate, because I don't know, I feel like he goes on a bit of a rampage on Twitter. I don't really follow YouTubers on Twitter unless they're like porn stars or something whole. But recently with his argument, he didn't really much address what was said in the tweets, more the video, which to my surprise. But he was just kind of admission of defeat to the... What the fuck, didn't I pick that up? Oh, it just seems the armor. Admission of defeat. So, what the fuck are those things? Oh god, this ain't going well for me. But, the bit of concern that I've got is that as well, he's said that he's not good at debates. So, knowing that there's what I'd refer to as a, what do I call it? So realizing he's got what I refer to as a, conflict of interest, where he's completely against what he's supposed to be standing for, I thought, what better way than have a debate with him, but now since he says that he's so bad at debate, or, well, not knowledgeable in debates, which I may not be someone that's qualified by any means in the field, but I've had more than enough debates to know my way around them, even though I'm not keen on debate, keen on bragging or any of that shit, but can you really listen? No, you can't. I feel kind of stupid. Anyway, I record while I complete the games and I'm showing in my videos, unlike some other people do. But everything fucking busy. because it's supposed like that means it looks like it's fucking damaged. But yeah, I update to do a debate on something that honestly, because I'm not too well versed in politics or in the legal system, especially not the American legal system, because as you may know, I am an Australian, not an American. So of course I'm not going to be that caught up on things, but debates in general are different, and you know, I wouldn't say that he outright refused me, but you know, I gave him an offer and it didn't seem like he was that interested, so we didn't have that debate. So I thought it was worth pointing out just a couple of things about debates, and I was going to tear apart some of the stuff that I did see in the video a bit further, and just point out a couple things that are like obvious mistakes and so forth, or bad arguments. But you know, because there's multiple different types of debates that you can have. It's not just one defined debate. There's just but this is going to be a fun time editing this video. But where was I saying? There's multiple different debates. You see on YouTube the debates that you know most people are more familiar with. There's a bit of a difference of how it operates. You see, you have time to look things up between your points. You have time to edit out the bits where you look bad, or and make sure your argument is essentially perfect while you're doing it. People don't have time to slice in or point out, you know, this is a fallacy or whatever the fuck. You just, as well, you're not trying to actually convince your opposition. Most of the times, you know, it's just to actually convince the audience and not the actual opposition. They don't even give a shit. Sometimes they even straight up insult the opposition. Am I supposed to be shooting that? What am I meant to be doing? Oh, well, didn't even know we could do that. Oh shit. So yeah, it is quite different going from YouTube debates to the other one, like actual debates, because you're just going to be put on the spot. And it is kind of a gamble to accept a debate, which is why I generally wouldn't, because you're put on the spot and it's like, you just got to go in risking that you know enough about the topic to actually succeed from where you currently are, as opposed to, you know, being able to take pauses and breaks, like when you're texting someone and back check and look up different things, like, you know, different information on things. You can't exactly do that sort of shit, cross-referencing and shit. Like, you got to have all that information beforehand, prior to when you just question, say, on the side of the street, even though the debates wouldn't happen on the side of the street, but you know. So to go on to move on to Unreal Engine 4's argument, one of the points that he makes is entirely emotional, and he says something like, I don't care about the lootbox or the publishers, I care about the devs behind the games. And I'll be completely blunt with you, I don't give a shit about those devs particularly that have decided to connect themselves to publishers and sell those loot boxes. They've made that the disconnect from them. So in that, you gotta not make emotional arguments. You need them to be based on logic and reasoning that actually can explain to people like myself, why is this still a good move? You know, why should I consider supporting your cause if I can't emotionally connect with you? And which is one of the problems with making an emotional argument, as well as the fact that it just seems cheap and quite, because when you're doing YouTube arguments, it's only that you would aim for something to take the moral high ground, so you would be looking for an emotionally based argument, because that's what wins people over at the heart and their core, essentially. But logically speaking, when not in like a proper argument or proper debate, you've got to look past that and explain. You've got to create a middle ground and explain, this is why it can be good, you know, this is the benefits of this, that you actually got to convince them why your argument is the right course of action on whatever the topic is that you were discussing. You don't just try and push the emotional agenda towards them, and plenty of people, when they're unknowledged in something, they try and retreat from their point to move it into something that's totally emotionally based instead of tackling your current point and actually finishing that off. They move on, like they try to shift the argument over towards something else, creating what's usually either a red herring or a false equivalency, where they try to connect, or they try to connect 2 points, two separate facts, and say they're one and the same, comparing apples and oranges essentially. And many people have done it. Recently I've gotten into a debate over the same thing, not too long after that video was made, but I got into a debate with someone else, and they did pretty much the same thing, where they started to bring up the addiction their family member has with alcoholism, and saying, is it really the fault of my uncle for selling my cousin alcohol when he's got an alcohol addiction, for selling it to them even though they don't know that he's purchasing it? And I'm like, well, you know, you're making an emotionally based decision, and the thing is, he can't straight up reject that customer, but there's still legal regulations in there, and by saying such, you are acknowledging that this is gambling. And much like alcohol, you can read the warnings, what sort of potential for damage it has on your health. So he's going in full well knowing what harm it has on him. Whereas with loot boxes, if we don't acknowledge that they are gambling, then we don't know what that risk is to one's harm, to one's health. And as such, we also have ways of protecting the people from that harm, from themselves. But if we don't acknowledge the problem, then we can't implement any sort of solutions like that. So in other words, you're essentially just ignoring the problem. So you've got to admit that it is a problem. You know, like, many people kind of try to do that, where they try and go away, like steer the topic into their own directions, and the best way to avoid that is to essentially just call them out for their knowledge. I mean, with any bill, people are going to lose jobs. Pretty much any bill anyway. People are going to lose money, going to lose jobs. So you've got to be looking at it the other way, in which, how can it reform, reshape the industry? Who can benefit from this? And even though, you know, loot boxes are a large portion of income for the industry, it's not the only source of income. It's not even one that's needed. I mean, hell, we've already seen that. Wait, what? I mean, hell, most of the people that do implement loot boxes are these big companies. And these big companies already have tax havens set up, where they're actually not only having to pay taxes, they're actually earning money off tax, the government. So what they could essentially do, if they were worried about making money in the government, they could just start making taxing games a bit more, you know, game publishers, especially the big ones, for implementing loot boxes or microtransactions or what have you, which is generally something you would do anyway for gambling licenses, which you would have to obtain if you were to recognize this as gambling. So they would have to uphold the regulations, which I don't see anything wrong with regulating businesses for their monetization to protect the consumer. it seems kind of crazy that everyone just immediately jumps to like, oh, it's so like, you know, the outrage culture. They kind of just jump from topic to topic, saying one thing's the worst thing in the world before jumping to another topic within a month, and anything over a month is old news, making it irrelevant, which is just outdating the outrage and kind of hitting it with critical coming from the crowd that they are. But for something that I hate people do when the days and they generally get one option is they move arguments to something else, and you know they generally provide an example of like, this is like this, you know, as I say, comparing apples and oranges, which is why I hate when people make those sort of examples where they try and explain give me away another situation, another occurrence, a problem. But I just say, you know, how I think about with alcoholism. And the difference is when we've got such legal scrutiny over, government scrutiny over alcoholism, it's like, hey, uncle, even though he's behind the counter and he doesn't actually see their cousin that's touching him, if he was, say, under DA, then because of legalities, he can actually work as a customer, as well as he can provide options of, like, you know, saying stuff like, be drink responsibly. If you have problems, you can contact this person for over toxicity or alcohol poisoning, and groups that you can contact for Alcoholics Anonymous and so forth to get over your addiction problem. And you know, there's ways to go about this that they can actually kind of look after their patrons without a legal system. Then you know, companies are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. They got free rein. And we talk about other options like, what is it? Market pressure, which kinda is an option, but not really. Because market pressure, you know, we have the idealized version of things where, like I said before, it's too soon to say whether government intervention with the quotation marks is actually a good or bad thing, because we're making the predictions that this will happen if we do this. And so it could happen, it could not. It may happen, it may not. You know, it's way too early to make those assumptions, and that's what it is. It is an assumption. And people kind of just retreat to these sort of arguments and points is because, you know, they're not knowledgeable in what they're trying to talk about, but they have other examples that they are actually experiencing themselves. So they assume that, you know, because they're sort of similar, they don't want and the same. And, you know, they start to create cracks in their argument, which, you know, an easy way to avoid it is to just simply point out the problem and to just build a mountain of evidence that they pull against them. The weight against their argument, because even though, you know, it's 2 second arguments always the best thing, and you know, they're days to simply just point out the lies or the flaws in the argument, but they don't always match up, because it creates a problem of knowing what is and isn't true in the argument, which, you know, brings into question how can I believe them or trust them. How can I really know that they've got the right decision? You know, it makes it very hard to actually side with them as opposed to you, so it makes things a lot easier to get into your line of reasoning when you're trying to push. I'm very much against censorship and for government regulation, because I don't, like I said, I don't think it'll achieve as much as people think, because people either think the best or the worst. I don't think about how it's most likely to go down or all the other variations, because there's too many variables, but assume one thing or the other. And you see, it's much like because as Sid said, there is the 2 other options, and even though those 2 other options are just incapable of working, and we've been out there for like 3 years now for Lootboxes or so they've obviously not worked. And one of the biggest one is market pressure, and as we've seen with Epic Games and Steam storefront, as many people have gone it down for ages, is simply not how it works. Because, you know, no one wants competition. They just want to rule. They just want to dominate with their free monopoly. They're not actually going to want to compete with the other version where he also points out that, you know, there is what is it? The consumers asking for it. It's like you're gonna be insane to expect that to ever work. Like the thing is, like, you know, companies are gonna get rid of people as well. Like what I said with the dev, the argument there is I don't want to keep it up on the situation of it is in that the people, like, we can't say that just because we're passing a bill. Oh no, people are gonna lose jobs because with any bill passing, people can lose jobs. There's a liability for that. The companies just fire people regardless of if they're doing well or not. With their overinflation of success that these companies get, they always going to be appeasing their stock market. So when they hit that high where it's like they can't possibly get any higher, what they do to get more successful fires people. We've seen it many times. That's why the whole hashtag fire is what we call it, controversy occurred. I don't even know what kind of controversy. I guess I don't think that's a fucking controversy now. So yeah, that controversy occurred because he was doing that sort of shit because there's just overinflation and they're just getting too big, they're getting too much money. And places like EA with pandemic, they weren't even that big that they were big, but they weren't so big that they needed to fire people. They bought out Pandemic Studios in 2008, closed them down in 2009, even though the company didn't do anything wrong and no one lose any money or anything. There wasn't actually a proper reason to fire them. They just did it. There wasn't anything going wrong. We've seen this countless time and time again. And sometimes they just say it's saving money, even though they're earning millions. They're completely successful, surviving on their own without loot boxes. And it just makes you wonder, is this passing of a bill really even going to affect their jobs any more than it would without the bill being passed at all? My opinion is no. No, it won't.
Suicide.